lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender rights in the United States have increased significantly over time, which is great. However, many LGBTQ Americans still continue to face legal and social challenges which non-LGBTQ Americans do not experience. The American LGBTQ community particularly experience these legal and social challenges in states with a large conservative population, such as in the Deep South, many parts of the Midwest, in rural areas, and in some Native American tribal nations. According to an NBC News analysis of data from the American Civil Liberties Union and LGBTQ advocacy group Freedom for All Americans, nearly 670 anti-LGBTQ bills have been filed since 2018, with nearly all of the country's 50 state legislatures all having weighed at least one bill. Throughout that time, the annual number of anti-LGBTQ bills filed has skyrocketed from 41 bills in 2018 to 238 bills in less than 3 months of 2022. And this year's historic tally quickly follows what some advocates had labeled the worst year in recent history for LGBTQ state legislative attacks, when 191 bills were proposed in 2021. So what are examples of anti-LGBTQ bills and laws? Here's a breakdown of anti-LGBTQ bills and laws which swept U.S. state legislatures in 2021. Let's start with a law which prohibits health care for transgender youth. It was signed in a law in Arizona on April 13, 2021. A similar bill was signed in a law by the governor of Tennessee on March 26, 2021. A law on single-sex facility restrictions was also signed by the governor of Tennessee on May 14, 2021. This law requires transgender people in all public buildings to use restrooms which accord with their gender on their birth certificate, regardless of their gender identity. And laws excluding transgender youth from athletics were signed in Arkansas on March 29, 2021, and in Alabama, Montana, Tennessee, West Virginia, and Texas in 2021. There was one anti-trans medical care ban bill in Arkansas, 4 religious refusal bills, one in North Dakota, one in South Dakota, and 2 bills in Arkansas. If turned into law, these laws would allow those with religious objections to oppose LGBT rights in accordance with traditional religious teachings without being punished by the government for doing so. There were 2 bills that would forbid discussion of LGBTQ people, or sexuality, or gender generally, in the classroom, in classes ranging from sex education to literature to history. They awaited governor's action in Arkansas and Tennessee. There were 2 religious refusal bills, which, again, allow for discrimination against LGBTQ people, but also women and people of faith based on religious beliefs. Conservative lawmakers presented these bills as solutions. Yet, they address no clear or demonstrated problems. Still, the governor of Montana and South Dakota turned these religious refusal bills into law on April 22 and March 10, respectively.
Then, in Montana, there was one bill making it harder to update a person's birth certificate, and one bill which could limit youth access to curriculum about LGBTQ people and events.
The list goes on and on. Here are some more examples.
In 2021, there were at least 35 bills that would prohibit transgender youth from being able to access best practice, age-appropriate, gender-affirming medical care. And at least 66 bills that would prohibit transgender youth and, in some cases, college students from participating in sports consistent with their gender identity. And at least 43 bills that would allow people to assert a religious belief as justification for failing to abide by the law, or provide services to people of whom they disapprove. And, finally, at least 15 bills that would prohibit transgender people from having access to restrooms or locker rooms which are consistent with their gender identity. 2 anti-LGBTQ bills which have been ratified in 2022 are Florida's Parental Rights in Education, or Don't Say Gay bill, which says that classroom instruction by school personnel or third parties on sexual orientation or gender identity may not occur in kindergarten through grade 3 or in a manner that is not age appropriate or developmentally appropriate for students in accordance with state standards. And the Utah State Legislature voted to override Governor Spencer Cox's veto of an anti-transgender sports bill which would ban transgender girls' participation in sports. The State House and Senate each gathered the necessary 2/3 of votes to override Cox's veto. The ban will take effect on July 1, 2022.
In my next video in this series, I'll take a look at Arkansas, Montana, Tennessee, and Texas, which were the most egregious drivers of discriminatory legislation in 2021. And if you live in America, are LGBTQ, and have experienced the negative impact of those laws I mentioned, please tell me about those experiences in the comment section below.
This information came from these websites. You'll find these links below this video.
If you found this video interesting, please give it a thumbs up and leave a comment in the comment section below. Subscribe to my channel and watch this series from the start. In 2 weeks, I'll be back with a new video in my series on cognitive abilities. Till then, I only want to say 3 things. Thank you for watching. Take care, and bye for now.